Fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Always customary on our trips on the first night to have fish and chips.
Yes, nice.
We made it as far as Welsh Pool because the traffic was so terrible.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we get to the campsite tonight. So we made it to the campsite, long queues of traffic, so we arrived in the pitch dark and then managed to get bogged in the field, but with Stef pushing and a little bit, Stef pushing, not me, you'll notice, and a man we met on the campsite, we managed to get out. We're on a bit of hard standing, so I think we're both just about ready for bed now. So see you tomorrow morning. So it's daylight now and we're up and we can actually see the campsite and the abbey behind us, which is the reason I actually came here in the first place. But first, let's get the kettle on and have a brew. So fresh homemade bread for my bacon sandwich.
Nice.
That's all right.
Ah.
So right next to the campsite is the delightful Cymer Abbey. I think I pronounced that correctly, I'm not totally sure. It says it was started in 1198 by Cistercian monks who were totally self-sufficient, and this must have been in the middle of nowhere at that time. But it was never completed, and of course sadly it came to its end when Henry VIII abolished all the small abbeys. But at least we've got something to look at that still stands now. And it's a beautiful sunny morning. I'm not totally up to speed with this new game of painting rocks and hiding them, but I found in here a rock, and this must be from local school children or something like that, who have done a little painting on a rock. That made it almost across the other side, didn't it? So on our route up to Anglesey, we pass Harlech Castle up on the hillside there. A quite impressive view, but we're not going to stop, we're going to carry on. Anglesey. We're on the Port Britannia Bridge. Steph just pointed out the statue of Nelson, or what looks like it, up on the column.
I think it is now.
So stunning view from the camper van at the Menai Bridge. So we're on Anglesey now, and we wanted to come to Lligwy. I'm not sure I've pronounced that correctly either, but I didn't realise there's a 12th century chapel here. And there's also a burial chamber, so we'll go and look at those three things.
Garlic. Nice smells.
Yeah, you can really smell it, can't you? So lovely walk just up from the road and through the woods to the remains of Lligwy, and it's pretty impressive. You can see the hut circle behind me, and there's plenty of other outlines of where the buildings used to be. built at the same time about as the Romans invaded Anglesey, so it's been here for an incredible length of time and well worth exploring. So it's quite fun to try and work out what it must have been like when everyone was living here. You can see the outer wall on the left, sort of double walled with the big rocks and the rubble in between, and then this lovely large hut circle inside it where they must have lived. And here's the stone that used to be the base of the cross, and it says that it was moved inside the chapel for safety. Just down the road is the burial chamber, communal burial site, and it's estimated to be about 4,000 years old. Cows have seen us coming, but fortunately I think there's a barbed wire there, or at least an electric fence, so they've all lined up to watch us walk past. And that's Wilfra Nuclear Power Station you can see in the background. That, would you believe, is a style. We've seen about 5 or 6 different kinds, but that's the most unusual.
It's a bit spiky, yeah. Ah, gosh.
So, you know about the Bermuda Triangle? Well, Anglesey has its own triangle as well. Wilfra, put a long way from prying eyes at the time, but you certainly can't miss it now. So just about ready for bed now. It's been a long day, hasn't it? And we're quite tired. So I think time to sleep. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
So we got up a bit late this morning because we're really rather tired, to a lovely sunny day. So time to put the kettle on, have a bit of breakfast, and then we're going to head off to Holyhead. So there's no question about what I'm having for breakfast, same thing every time. And Stef's gone for the very summery option with strawberries.
Want me to stop again? So warm.
It's lovely in the sun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's better than predicted. So Stef's walking up above South Stack, and we've got a bit of a clear view up here, but below us, as you can hear, probably from the foghorn that's ringing out, over the sea there's a thick bank of fog. So we'll probably walk down to the lighthouse, but I don't know if we'll get to see anything at all. This looks left over from the war, and I think just to the left of Stef is what looks like a gun mount of some kind or other. I presume it was that and not a light, because the lighthouse is down below us. But every 30 seconds or so, you can hear it there, was the foghorn going off, because below us it's thick fog. Oh, and lots of birds. You can hear lots and lots of birds. So we're up high on South Stack, and we're looking down to the sea. And also we're right up against the radio station that's at the top, fenced in, with a commanding view looking south over Anglesey, and in the distance the chimney of the aluminium plant. I think it's probably not working anymore, but when it was, I guess it got its electricity from Wilfra, the nuclear power station. So people are clearly drawn here by the birds, but there's some pretty impressive geology as well up on the side of the cliffs. So we're inside the lighthouse and Stef's climbing to the top. I think there's going to be a bit more climbing. We have to go back up the hill to pick up the camper van. So quite a steep climb to the top. We're actually in the light, working light, which is quite fun. And you can see the Fresnel lenses. So to make them much lighter, it's not a solid piece of glass, but it's a whole series of individual prisms with gaps in between that focuses the light from the bulb behind. The glass in the Fresnel lenses is turning brown from the lead that's in it. Obviously that gives it a much higher refractive index. And the light at the moment is about 125 watts, which doesn't seem like very much, but of course it's very efficient now. It's an LED bulb and not a filament bulb. And it's still rotating on its original mercury bearing. A couple of the old bulbs in a lecture there, it's all LEDs now, so no requirement for them. So they're just as museum pieces now. And a couple of mercury bottles. Now mercury is very, very dense, so you can't carry it in glass. So they were carried in sort of iron containers with an iron lid on them. There's two there, used for the mercury bearing on the lighthouse. A few spare panes of glass for the windows upstairs, and this rather beautifully fashioned wooden stand. They really did things properly in those days. So we're going to work our way down to the tower and explore that little bit of the coast. Ellin's tower, now used by the RSPB as a sort of looking out point to watch all the birds, so we'll go inside and look at the view from inside.
Next week it seems it all converged back where they first placed, and the whole process starts again.
So modern accommodation nestled right up against Neolithic, with the hut circle that Stef's currently sitting in. Quite big hut circles, aren't they?
Yeah.
Get lots of people in here.
Oh, look, there's a little basin.
Oh, there's a little cut out stone.
Yeah, with water in it. Is that our hut, darling? It's not that big. It's just for two people probably. And a baby. You comfy, darling?
It's really nice and comfortable, yeah. Just sitting on this stone that's sticking out. I don't know what it was used for, but it's nice and comfy. I've got a really nice view of the bay behind you, the sea.
Yeah, nice.
Still some of it covered in fog.
And you've got a long entrance.
Yeah. So our last stop of the day to look at something, this burial chamber, and I was somewhat surprised by the fact it's had a bit of remedial work done to the middle of it. But then if you look closer, Stef pointed out, there's the reason that the capstone's actually split in half. So it's obviously been propped up and made to look like it would have done a bit earlier on. Not quite sure how the damage happened, but the usual vandals have been rubbing against it. You can see the corners covered in cow hair. You had a good day?
Lovely, yes.
Which was your favourite bit?
Well, it was brilliant at the lighthouse. First when the fog was in, and then walking over the fog, and then going over to the lighthouse. It was all a lovely day.
So all ready now to make our evening meal. We're going to have vegetarian spaghetti bolognese.
Nice.
It's going to be delicious.
Yes. Hungry.
You hungry?
Yeah.
Let's do it then.
Let's do it. Nice cooking.
I'm looking forward to this.
Well done, darling.
Look.
That's cooking.
Excellent. So after an excellent day, it's time to get ready for bed. Our little camper somewhat dwarfed by the absolutely massive new Volkswagen parked next to us. Anyway, we're going to set off for home tomorrow, so now for a good night's sleep. Well, we've woken up to a lovely sunny day and time for breakfast, my usual, and Stef's on muesli, and then we're going to head off back to Telford after what's been a lovely holiday. So time's come to go back, so we've managed to start okay, and we're going to take the long journey back home. Hopefully the roads aren't going to be too busy because it's a bank holiday, but we'll see how we get on. But we've had a lot of fun out here, and we're going to come back probably next holiday, I think. So we're almost home and ready to unpack and then dream about which holiday we're going to do next time.